Outlander facing dissolution. Caitriona Balfe and her shocking decision. Summer in Scotland is always beautiful, morning dew, pale sunlight filtering through the leaves, birds chirping softly as dawn breaks. But today, Caitriona Balfe woke up to a long text message from her manager, her heart racing. An inside source from the Outlander crew said Sam Heughan was in talks to leave the final episodes of Season 8, due to health and work pressures. Caitriona lay there, on a wooden bed in a small house outside Inverness, staring up at the ceiling, where light from the window casts a pattern of shadows. She thought back to the early days of Outlander, when she and Sam were just two young actors, with enthusiasm, believing that this project would change their lives, and maybe it did. But the text tonight said that Sam, because of the increased production pressure, the grueling shooting schedule, the dangerous scenes, the more sensitive love, sex, nudity, was considering leaving the project. She knew that if the decision were to come true, it would not only change the plot but also deeply affect everyone on the set, the other actors, the director, the producers, the logistics team, the fans. Caitriona sat up, grabbed her phone, and called Sam. His deep, slightly tired voice was on the other end of the line. "Cat," he said, "we have to talk." Meeting backstage, 2 days later, they met in a small room behind the main filming location of the final season. There were no cameras, no reporters, just the dim yellow light, the faint smell of paint and new wood, the familiar mix of studios. Sam looked at Caitriona. She was sitting in a chair, holding a cup of hot tea, her eyes intense. He placed his hands on the wooden table, his face weary. "I can't go on like this," he began, his voice slightly hoarse. "The schedule this season, it's more than I can handle. Not just physically, riding horses, fighting, minor injuries, but mentally. Every day, feeling like I have to be ready for the next scene, the stress, not being able to sleep, being compared, being judged. I've thought about leaving." Caitriona looked into his eyes. She knew he wasn't just complaining, he was at a crossroads. "If you quit," she said softly, "I will quit too. I don't want to continue if I have to do it without you. We are Jamie and Claire. If one of us leaves, the story doesn't feel real." Sam was silent, her words felt like a knife to bone. But at the same time, it was also a light, someone who understood him, someone willing to share the burden. Invisible pressures. Caitriona recalls the recent days of filming Season 8. The director and producer said that the action needed to be increased, more battle scenes, more dangerous scenes, because the audience's expectations are high, the competition is fiercer. Emotional and sensitive scenes require the cast to act with pain, which can have a psychological impact. Sam, meanwhile, is receiving messages from the doctor that he has a minor shoulder injury, back pain, insomnia. But the filming schedule does not allow for much rest. And the pressure of a big TV show makes him feel like he has to do everything well, not just as an actor, but as a promotional image, as a brand. Caitriona also feels exhausted. She carries the responsibility of being an actress, a sub-producer, and the guardian of the moral and spiritual limits for herself and the other actors in the crew. But when word got out that Sam was considering dropping out, the production team immediately called a meeting. Director, screenwriter, executive producer, PR, director of photography. They talked about how to change the script, cutting or changing scenes with less Sam, or shifting some parts to other characters. They talked about using more stuntmen, using more effects, or even rewriting the ending a bit, if he left, so Claire could continue her journey without Jamie by her side. Hesitation and conflict. After the meeting, Caitriona felt torn. She and Sam had worked together for several seasons. The feeling of closeness, the chemistry on set had been woven into the script, from the two of them supporting each other in emotional scenes, sharing sadness in scenes of war and loss. But now, everything was on the line. the reputation of the project, the audience, the rising production costs, the ability to promote, the expectations of fans. If Sam left, they might have to find a replacement, or make major changes to the script, which could lose the authenticity viewers love, which could divide the fandom, which could affect the final quality. Caitriona was quietly worried. If she pulled out as she had just said, she would lose a lot: influence, fame, growth opportunities. But she also knew that if she stayed and the project lost Sam, she would feel fake. She worried that the audience would notice the lack of authenticity, that Claire continuing without Jamie would be a soulless scene. Sam called her late one night. "Kat, I haven't decided yet. I'm thinking about my family, my health, my future. I feel like I'm being pulled between the role and real life," Caitriona pointed out. Liston. Leaked messages and public reaction. One day, an international tabloid published the news: Sam Heughan is leaving Outlander due to health reasons. Caitriona Balfe also said she wanted to quit if he really left. The message had an unknown source, the content was not verified. But it was like a spark, it spread quickly in the fan community. Fans were divided into two camps. One side supported Sam, understood the pressure, asked him to rest. The other side was shocked, sad, felt betrayed by the story they loved, by the characters Jamie Claire they had followed for years. Caitriona received many messages from fans. Why? Without Jamie, what is Claire? Will Claire continue? I will not watch anymore if Sam leaves. And she also received support from her co-stars, from the crew, from her production colleagues. You do the right thing by protecting yourself. No one has the right to force you to act more if you've pushed yourself to the limit. The decision meeting. The key producers called a big meeting: Sam, Caitriona, the director, the head writer, the production coordinator, the medical staff. In the conference room, there was a strong white light, a long table covered with drafts of the script, storyboard images of fight scenes, big scenes, dangerous scenes. The director began: if Sam doesn't continue, we have two options: replace her, or edit the script so Claire can stand alone. Caitriona: Sam, we want to hear from you first. The health, the authenticity of the two characters' expressions, we don't want to lose that. Sam says: I don't want viewers to remember Jamie as the character who was left behind. I don't want to see Claire as someone who continues on her own without the soul of the story. But I can't continue if I'm tired, if I have to risk my health just to keep this tight schedule. Caitriona continues: if Sam leaves, I'll leave too. I won't fake a relationship or an ending that's not true. Without Jamie, Claire wouldn't be Claire, at least not in the way we lived it. The producer is silent. The head writer opens the script, the final scene, to see what changes might be made. Claire could continue, could go elsewhere, could find a new companion, or could have a spin-off focusing on her lineage. Finally, the decision. After many days of thinking, that night, Caitriona wrote in her personal diary: I said the words I never thought I would say. I may lose many things, the big project, stability, the fans who have stood by me, but I need to stay true to myself. If I do otherwise, I would betray myself, Jamie, Claire, and the audience who have placed their trust in us. Sam called her the next morning. His voice was calmer. I talked to the doctor. I talked to my family. I can't continue at this level, but I want to end my story with Jamie on a worthy note. I don't want you to leave because of me. If you leave, I'll thank you, but I hope you'll continue, even if it's in a different role. Caitriona bowed her head, remained silent for a moment, then replied: I understand. I'll stand my ground, but if that's the case, if you're really not there, I'll pull out. For Claire's sake, for the way we've told this story from the beginning, the deal between the two. The two agreed on one thing: Sam would take more rest, do less dangerous scenes, request stuntmen, safer props, longer recovery time after heavy scenes. Caitriona would support him, both on set and behind the scenes, to make sure he didn't overexert himself. If at any point Sam felt like he couldn't continue, she'd be ready to pull out, and the crew would figure out how to rewrite the script, focus on Claire, or tell the story from a new perspective, perhaps a descendant or other supporting character. The crew came up with a plan B. If Sam officially left, Claire would have a new storyline. The show would go back to the source, the past, the lineage, to keep the spirit of Outlander without losing the image of love Jamie Claire built.